Hi class, welcome to week 4. Today I just want to go over our weekly agenda and the few assignments that we have this week. I know last week was a little bit tough. You guys had 3 assignments, and I know the interview can sometimes be a little tough because you're kind of depending on someone else. So hopefully this week is a little bit easier for you guys. You just have a quiz and your second activity. Um, and you do have to read chapters 8 and 10 on motor behavior and then also on biomechanics. So these chapters are going to be a little bit more interesting. And today I want to go over, the main thing I want to go over is this second activity, which is called Research and Interpret, where you're going to have to download this research article on barefoot running or barefoot inspired footwear. And then you're going to have to answer some questions that are located in this document. The article is called Effects of Barefoot and Barefoot-Inspired Footwear on Knee and Ankle Loading During Running. So depending on how much background you have on reading research articles, this may or may not be an easy read. Compared to some more advanced studies, this one is not too bad. Some of the vocabulary, the technical terms may be a little bit difficult to understand if you haven't really read research in a while or you haven't really done it ever. But the main things I want you to focus on is the headings, because that's going to kind of guide you through the article from the introduction, methods, to results, and then finally there should be a discussion section. There it is. So once you read the article or try to go through most of it, you're going to have to answer these questions. And just to kind of help you guys out a little bit here, I'll go through the major points of this. So for example, listen to find any words you don't know. So anything that the first time you read it, you didn't really understand, look it up. If there's something that you look up and you can't even find anywhere, you can email me about it. The first major thing here, though, is what is the study about? So, and then also, what are the questions and hypotheses that the author is trying to prove? So, let's look at the article. I want to turn your attention to the introduction portion because in the introduction, it gives you a brief literature review. So, it tells you everything that they know about this topic so far. But at the very end of the introduction, usually the last paragraph, that's where they state their hypothesis. So if you want to find the hypothesis, that's where it's going to be. The next question I think you may need some guidance on will be, did the findings support the hypothesis? So here we're just asking essentially, what did the results say? And if we look back to the article here, I'm going to guide you in exactly where you're going to find the answer to this. And that's going to be in the results section. So here, this may be a little complicated because there's a lot of statistical information here, which I don't necessarily need you to kind of report back to me, but I do want you to kind of get an idea of what they're trying to tell you here, because in a research article you have to show what your statistical analysis said to prove what you're saying. So I can't just say, yeah, I found that most of the participants had a difference. Well, that's not going to cut it in research. You have to show what kind of statistics you did and use the results of that. For example, here they're saying there's a significant main effect because P was less than 0.006. And in statistics, that means that's meaningful. That's what you want. But for our purposes, I want you to maybe go through that, but then there should be a few sentences where it kind of just describes it in a more just normal English. And then you may also find some more information under the discussion section about each of these points. But the two main things that they're looking for is knee load and then ankle load. So again, when you answer that question about did the findings support the hypothesis, you have to go back to that introduction section and read the hypothesis, and then look at the information you found in the results section and part of the discussion section, and then they'll usually explicitly say like, yeah, we were able to prove our hypothesis, or no, there was not enough evidence to support our hypothesis. So that's kind of what you want to report in your own words. The final portion I want to cover is these two last questions, and I hope this will help you in the future as well. I explicitly picked this to cover, so we're going to spend a little bit of time on writing a sentence where you cite this study in APA style, and also how to create a reference page so that you can reference the studies that you had in your paper. So to do this, we're going to take a look at a different article, and this is one of the articles I had to use for my research project for my doctorate. And I just want to show you how I cited it in a sentence, and then also how I referenced to it in my reference list for a paper. So there's a lot of information just here on this first page that, each article is going to be different, but you could find pretty much everything you need to cite it and to reference an article in APA format. And the reason I'm going over this so much is because you're going to need it in the future. If you have to do a master's program, they're going to require you to do a APA style. Most everything in allied health when it comes to research is in APA style. And just to kind of point out the easiest way to find the information. So let me go to my document here. So here I wrote out a sentence based on this article. So it says, according to Coombs et al. 2016, there was a 15% increase in strength on the untrained arm following left-handed training, and a 10% increase following right-handed training. So as you can see, I have cited the article right here, and the reason I use et al. Was because there was 6 authors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So anytime there's 6 or more authors, right away you get to use the et al. Abbreviation. If there was only 5 authors, I would have had to write out each of these authors' last names and then put the year it was published. So let me refer you to somewhere else, which is the Al Purdue Online Writing Lab. So I've mentioned this to you, a lot of you, in your papers to give you some feedback. So I highly suggest you use this. This is one of the websites that I visited the most when I had to write papers for my doctorate. It's really easy to navigate. So where I found a lot of the information was in-text citations, and it gives you some examples here. It gives you all the rules. And for your article, you're only going to have one author, so it's going to be pretty easy to do that. So that information should be in here. Now to do my reference page, it should look like this. And I should, actually, let me go back here. I want to show you how I formatted this. So you got to make sure that you have 1-inch borders all around, and that you have Times New Roman 12-point font, and that it's double spaced. And now when we go to our reference page, the only thing you need to put is references, and you have to center that on the page. And again, it's all double spaced. I'll go back here. So we go to reference list, and it tells you how to reference for a single author right here, right off the bat. And you have to follow all the little details as far as the, for example, the title of the journal article. Only the first word is capitalized. Everything else is lowercase. And then for the title of the journal, of the actual journal, so for example, let's see, in this case, for the example I'm giving you, it's the European Journal of Applied Physiology. So according to APA rules, you have to italicize the whole title of the journal, and each word will be capitalized. From there, you put a volume number, and if there's an issue number, let's see if there's an example here. If there's an issue number, it would be in parentheses right next to the volume number. And only those things are italicized. And then from there, the page number is not italicized, or the page numbers. So you have to put just the beginning to the end of the journal, what pages used. So for example, here, it tells me right here that it was page 1757 through 1769. So when I reference it, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put each author, and I put their last name, comma, space, first initial, period, space, second initial, period, comma, space, last name, and then I keep following that. And then I put the title of the article, the title of the journal, italicized, volume number, pages. And you guys, I won't require you guys to do this, but for all of my articles, I had to put the web address for each article, so I had to find this. If you ever have to do that, it will be typically right here where it says DOI, and you have to enter all of that, but there's a specific way to do that, which I won't get into, but that's what it'll look like. And from there, if you can look up here at this little ruler, you have to move the hanging indent to 1/2 an inch, which is right there, which means only the first line will be normal, and then everything under it will be tabbed over. So those are the instructions on how you cite and how you reference an APA style. Hopefully that was helpful, and it'll help you in the future. And I do want you to include that as part of all these questions. It can all be in one document, and you can list the questions just like this. That's fine. You can, and then just put your answer right under. But when it gets to these last two, I do want you to do it like how I showed you in APA style, or at least give it your best shot. If you have any questions, again, let me know. Hopefully this was helpful. And again, you'll have that as your activity 2, and then you will have a quiz 4. All right, guys, thank you and have a great week.